Hey everybody, Spegtacular, the Silverstacular, still buying away at the old silver. Now I realize that prices have gone up. You know, they got this rate potentially cut meeting today with the Fed. May get a cut. Looks like a high likelihood of it. I'm still like one of those people that are like, well, you never know what they're going to do. Those crazy Fed people. It's just whatever, you know what I mean? I'm just going to keep stacking away. And this right here, this video is just some stuff that I got from a local pawn shop, actually. And interestingly enough, I tell you what, you got to be a little bit concerned about your knowledge when it comes to some of these places, because they are not as knowledgeable or equipped as they need to be when it comes to silver and gold. And it's kind of a shame, because here they are, buying the stuff. So be very careful out there. And so I went to this particular pawn shop, and I don't need to mention names. I'm not going to do that. But I think that just in general, no matter what kind of shop it is, make sure you have some knowledge before going into it. Whether it's a pawn shop, a local coin shop, a place online, whatever, have some sense of what you're getting into and some knowledge of like the material that you're buying, and how to identify counterfeits, how to identify good and bad deals, etc., etc. So anyways, go into this place. I'm going through their silver offerings. As you can see right here, I got a few. Silver's been going up in price, obviously, so a few today is a lot less than a few was, a few months ago, a few years ago, etc., etc. But as I'm going through the offerings and what they have, I see this particular piece, and it's an Aztec piece, and I thought I got another one here somewhere, and here it is. So I got an Aztec piece, and this is a Tezcatlipoca, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's the way I say it. But anyways, it was the one with the Quatahamic on the front, and you're probably familiar with it. It's a very common piece. But anyways, so they had one of those pieces, and I picked it up, and I knew something was off. First of all, it was in a capsule, which is fine, but sometimes the capsule is there to hide the details. And that capsule, well, once it got out of there, once I took it out, you can tell it was very, very thick for a 1 ounce silver piece, and it felt just very odd. That's all I can say. I don't know how to explain it. Once you get a feel for silver a little bit, you kind of go, wow, that one feels different, and this one felt different. And so I mentioned to the one of the people working there, I don't believe they were the owner of this pawn shop, but one of the people working there. And he was an older guy, been there for a long time. I've been to this pawn shop many times. He was there each and every time. So anyways, so guy says, hey, yeah, this is legit. And I said, doesn't seem legit to me. I'm pretty sure it's a fake. And he goes, what? It's a fake? And he runs away with it for a second. I'm thinking like, oh, maybe he's going to get a Sigma or some kind of, something. I don't know, something else, right? No, he takes a scale, he puts it on the scale, and he goes, well, it weighs right on the scale. It's one troy ounce on the scale. And he says, they can't fake the weight. And I'm just like, I shake my head, and I go, of course they can fake the weight. And he I don't want to say argue with me like in a, we got into a fight, right? But he's just like, oh, they can't fake the weight. I said, they can totally fake the weight. He's like, no, they can't. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Be very careful out there, because yes, they can fake the weight. All they got to do is increase the diameter for a metal that's maybe not as dense as silver. And then boom, you have something in the center of it. You could have like a silver outside, and then like a, copper, brass, whatever inner piece. You could have anything, nickel. I mean, some kind of lesser value metal could be in there. And now that silver's been coming up to the $40 range, you're going to see more and more, ingenious ways of making fakes, right? Counterfeits from China. As the price goes up, they're going to take lesser metals, zinc, whatever the case may be, and they're going to try to get away with making fakes. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I said you got to have some kind of tools, and I've mentioned this in videos before many times through the years. I've showed you how to test for fake precious metals and coins. So make sure you go back to some of those older videos, watch those, because there is so much information within those videos. And I kind of beat it to death in those videos too. So I'm not going to do that here. In fact, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. And so I did come straight home and test all of my things. Double checked everything, because I was like, man, if they're not really testing their things, if they're just like weighing things, if they're even doing that, that's not enough for me by any means. I was mostly worried too about these Morgan and Peace dollars that I picked up. So there's some easy ways to check for those. I've actually spoken to somebody recently who ended up getting some counterfeits. I think they were off of Facebook. I think that's what he said. I'm going to find out more once I get the counterfeits that he's going to send me in the mail, and then I'll show you all. And then we'll go over in a video specifically for counterfeits there. But basically in this video, I'm just showing off some new things that I picked up, and just telling you all to be very careful. Watch what you're doing out there, and know what you're doing at least a little bit, right? A little bit more than the people that apparently don't care to know, like these the pawn shop owner that I dealt with. And when I say pawn shop owner, be careful like what you're doing, and blah blah blah. I'm not saying that pawn shops are bad. Don't get me wrong. And some people think that pawn shop just has like a negativity to it. I've found some of my best deals in pawn shops, and I'm super happy that they exist. That being said, there's been a couple problems here and there with pawn shops. There's been a couple problems with local coin shops. There's been problems with online places too. And through the years on my channel, you've seen those problems. I've, expressed it. I found fakes at, coin shops, at pawn shops, at antique shops, at hobby shops, at coin shops, fakes online. I found fakes everywhere, and I had to educate those people on how to identify those fakes once I found them. It's just crazy. It's crazy what's out there. So, just be very careful. And one thing I will say too, on the other hand, is really know what you're talking about when you're accusing somebody of a fake, because it is a gut-wrenching thing for somebody who's trying to do the right thing when they are a seller, and then they go, oh, this person's accusing me of selling fakes, right? Because that's the least thing I want to do as somebody who sells precious metals once in a while, is sell somebody a fake. I do not want to do that. So make sure you really know what you're talking about, and you just don't go like, it's a fake because of some kind of like little minor detail, right? Really, really know it's a fake 100% before you accuse somebody. Because people have accused me of that before, and I've been like, oh my goodness, like how could that have slipped past me? Like I test everything, and then I educate them on their piece that they end up having, and then they go, oh, okay, no, you're right, it's not a fake after all. And it's like, man, you left me for a week thinking that I sold you a fake, and you stressed me out. You gotta know what you're talking about before you accuse somebody, for sure. That being said, these are some things that I picked up today. It was $2,000, actually just a smidge less than $2,000, what you see on the table right here. I think the silver rounds were $2 over, and these, man, I'd like to remember the price if I could for this video. I'd like to say it was like they were like $33, $34 a piece. There's some in here that I would call coal. This right here is pretty worn down, this 23-piece dollar. I could have definitely walked away and without getting this. That's not a problem. But for some reason, these old, worn-out piece dollars, I love them, because it's like as a coin collector, I think, man, where has that thing been? Like what caused this thing to get worn down like it is? So that's something I couldn't live without. Funny enough, even though it's worn down and the silver content is technically lesser, and the coin value of it potentially is much less than it could be, I just thought it was so neat. I had to have it. I could have also taken that counterfeit that he had and just bought it as silver, and then came and did like a nice instruction video for you. But that being said, with silver being 40-something an ounce right now, it's like I don't really feel like buying fakes at this point. There'll be enough fakes out there that don't cost me $40 an ounce for a fake thing that I can educate people with, that I don't gotta waste my own money like that to that degree. So that's why I passed up on that, and I'm actually happy that I did. Happy that I did. We're going to see these rate cuts come out, and maybe if the rate cuts from the Fed happen, maybe silver and gold does come down a little bit, for a while. I don't know. We're going to see. That being said, it doesn't really matter to me too much. I'm just going to keep stacking away, and I encourage you all to keep doing that. In fact, I'm going to have some, let's almost call it like a series of videos coming out pretty soon, and it's going to be about stacking on a budget, and that's going to be the key to this, series, is trying to figure out how to stack on a budget, because right now with prices the way they are, everybody's kind of like, well, what do I do? Do I hold? I can't buy what I used to, et cetera, et cetera. So basically it's going to be a series on trying to find deals, and the deals are definitely still out there. They're out there all over the place, and as prices come up, you're going to find that there's more and more deals, because these shops and these places online are going to have to try new techniques to get you to be able to buy these things. So the deals will be out there. Don't you worry about that. I've actually already started seeing that a lot of places have been reducing the amount that you need to buy in order to get free shipping, like back in the day. So there was a point where they had increased that. That has started to come back down again. I don't know if you've noticed that. So that's very interesting. That's one great benefit right there. So we can buy fewer, silver rounds and still get our free shipping that we love and adore. So that is still an option, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, that series will be coming soon. I've also talked to another YouTuber, and he said to me, he's like, you know what? I think I'm pretty much done. He's like, I've already done this thing to death. I've talked to people. Some of the comments are pretty negative and stuff, and it's just kind of like wearing me down. But I'm trying to teach people, and the comments are wrong, but there they go, just spewing stuff. And I get that. Some of the comments I get, I shake my head at. This is the stupidest thing in the entire world, and it contradicts anything that goes along with stacking, and it contradicts anything that I've done through the years on my channel that proven that silver and gold is an amazing investment if you know what you're doing. I'm literally the an ideal image of what it takes and what is a good silver and gold stack, or what you can do with yourself if you practice a little discipline. I am the ideal image of exactly what becoming debt free and all these things are exactly what I hope for you. And I think that if you had followed this channel from the beginning and kind of followed in my footsteps as much as you could, I feel like you would have 100% been better off in whatever situation you're currently in. And maybe you did. Maybe you have followed me to some degree and you feel, good about it, and I hope you do. Hope you did. But it's one thing where, I understand where he's coming from. He wants to be done because he's done everything that he feels like he needs to do. But for me and my channel, I'm going to keep trucking along. I'm very happy to continue my journey and show you along the way. I don't show you every single tiny thing that I get sometimes, but I show you a heavy majority, I think, of it. And I show you all the processes, both good and bad. And I just want to keep going with that. That being said, I do have an additional family member that has been taking a lot of time, and I've been trying my best to, still do videos along with her being in my life now. But I think I can find time to roll out a video or two. It's not really that big of a deal. And it's all about building this hobby, building the community, and showing people that you can really do well as a wealth preserver with silver and gold, and an investment overall. I mean, we've seen that over the last few years, it really has been a wonderful investment, really keeping you up to date with the way our currency and it has been just plummeting. So I'm going to keep on trucking along. I encourage that person too to keep trucking along too. I can't control anybody. We'll see what they end up doing. But that being said, none of these peace dollars or Morgan dollars were like exceptionally rare. There was no keys or anything crazy like that in there. It's pretty much just fun little dollars to collect. So when it comes to that new series though, and this is a long-winded video, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of pumped about my new purchase here. What I want us to do is I want us to grab some of these right here, these tubes, and you can probably find these at your local places or online for dirt cheap. Some people just try to get rid of them. I know I try to at some point too, just to get rid of these things, because they start piling up. But get yourself a couple of these tubes, because our goal is going to be to stack on a budget and fill some of these up over time. It's not going to be like we're going to stack up one of these every single week or every other week or every month sometimes. It depends on everybody's individual budget. Man, it might take a year or more to, fill up one of these, depending on who you are and what kind of budget you have set aside for the metals investment. But that's gonna be our goal, is to fill up some tubes. And whether it's one tube for you or half a tube, or man, you can get a whole monster box, it's gonna be different for everybody, and we're gonna do it though. And that's gonna be the goal. So this is like a little sneak peek to the future. Try to grab some tubes. We're gonna try to fill those things up for this little series I'm gonna do of stacking on a budget. Also, some really cool news with the Goldbacks. So apparently my Goldback investment, which, a lot of people don't like Goldbacks and whatever, everybody doesn't like something, to each their own. I think that they're great, especially the Florida ones. I really bought into those pretty hard. What a great investment those have been, right? Since they are made of gold. And you can see right there, 1/200th of a troy ounce of 24 karat gold. What an amazing investment has the Goldbacks been for old Spegtacular. They've been absolutely great. So happy to get in on those. That has been a really, really good investment for me. And I don't know if I have any of them here. Oh, oddly enough, I just happen to have some. Apparently, I learned that these right here have sold out. So that was a great pickup. And this is more of it's called a numismatic type of investment right here. The 3 Oklahoma Goldback. That was, a little bit of more of a expensive buy. But these right here have sold out for people just buying them, straight like this. Now the only ones left are for businesses that are opening up and allowing Goldbacks to be used at their businesses in Oklahoma. So those are the only ways that people can get those now. But the ones that, if you didn't have a business and you just wanted to buy them straight out, these perfect 70s, they are sold out. So that's kind of a cool thing too, to see that, a couple little investments have been doing well. And, we'll just see what happens in the future. We'll see what these rate cuts do, if it even matters anymore, if it's just a moot, a moot little point in our timeline right there. We'll see. Anyways, long-winded video. Thanks for staying with me on this journey. I'm just going to keep on trucking along. I thought this was especially cool, this piece right here, this little lamb, and then it has some biblical wording on the back with John 1:29. It says, "The next day he saw Jesus coming to him and said, 'Behold, the Lamb of God, who takes away the sin of the world.'" There you go. Thank goodness for that, right? Thank God for that. Anyways, I got to go for now. I appreciate you for watching. Spegtacular is out. Well, hello, everybody. I seek to educate and entertain through my journey of collecting coins and stacking precious metals. I encourage you to subscribe, and please stay with me on this journey. I am Spegtacular, the Silver Stacular. When I was a kid, we did this every day in school, and I believe we need to bring this back a little bit, and I'm going to start right now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.